Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, hold on one second.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Let me see something. All right, I think I fixed it.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can. How are you doing?
Okay. Good. Good.
All right, that's good. All right, so my co-host should be on pretty soon. He's in Myrtle Beach right now, but I could get started. I have a bunch of questions for you because obviously you've had an insane, a really good career. You were on the all '90s decade team, 7 straight Pro Bowls straight out of the gate, 2 first team All Pros, 2 second team All Pros. So there's a lot to talk about, and you're on some really good Dolphins teams. So I'll just get started with my favorite question. So you played every snap of your rookie year, and you only allowed 2 sacks. During Bruce Smith's dominance across the NFL, you allowed 3.5 sacks in 14 games matched up against him. What did you do differently to prepare against him compared to other players?
I don't think the preparation was any different. I just knew what I was up against. And a lot of times people measure, as far as if a defensive lineman gets a lot of sacks, he's won the battle, or vice versa. If you give up a lot, you lost the battle, this and that. But it was always a really tough fought battle, and that was the toughest guy I had to play against. So um, a ton of respect for him, but it was 60 minutes of hell, if not longer, every time I had to play against that guy. But he's definitely the best that I played against, and I always look forward to the challenge because you want to see how you measure up against the best. But I think the preparation was the same. It was just that was probably more of a rivalry game because we were in the same division, and they hated us and we hated them, and it's still that way today. So I guess that's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah. What was it like to be coached by one of the greatest coaches ever? And in my opinion, the greatest.
Yeah, have an opportunity. When I grew up in Dallas, and I kind of put him in the same category with like Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, the old school coaches from back in the day. That I remember watching the Dolphins on like Monday Night Football because we didn't get all their games all the time unless you had cable TV. But even throughout, college and stuff, watching the Dolphins and Marino, Duper Clayton, and then actually getting the opportunity to be coached by, I agree with you, the greatest coach to coach the game. It was definitely an honor, but um, you know, he taught me so many things, not just football wise, but life in general. And I still apply a lot of those things today. So um, I think that's what truly, makes a great coach is not just teaching you about football, but teaching you about life because you can only play football so long. And I think he was one of the greatest teachers I had as far as how to, make that transition from, being a professional football to transitioning into just regular normal life in football, and some of the stuff that I applied as far as, being early on time and just paying attention to the little things I still use today. So he was a great teacher. So yeah, best coach I had.
Yeah, for sure. When did you know you had potential to go pro?
Ooh, I think that I would have a shot maybe after my junior year, and then at the beginning of my senior year, I started hearing a little buzz that I could possibly be, maybe top 3 rounds or whatever. But you know, of course, you got to put the work in. And then I think it was toward the end of the season, I was like a solid second round draft pick, and then I went to the Senior Bowl, had a really good Senior Bowl game practices, and then really had a good workout at the combine, and then shot up into from being possibly a late first rounder to top of the first round. So I'd probably say late my junior year, but really the start of my senior year, I figured I'd have an opportunity to play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I watched your combine. It was a pretty impressive combine. But when you went to the Miami Dolphins, like, what was it like to play with one of the most talented quarterbacks ever? And was it like stressful at any points?
Definitely. I think the thing a lot of people understand is when you're a first round pick, you're happy to be a first round pick, but it's a lot of pressure that comes with being that because the expectations are so high. So, and then going to a city like Miami and then having to protect a guy like Dan Marino. Dan Marino was already a legend when I got there. He was in his 7th or 8th year. So my biggest thing was I don't want to be the guy that gets this guy hurt because I know you don't want to be remembered that way. But he was a great teammate, and I was surrounded by him, Duper Clayton, guys that have been in the system and taught me how to be a professional, how to watch the film, study for the games, and this and that, and definitely grateful. But yeah, it was pressure, but I think sometimes pressure, as long as you don't let it consume you, really helps to bring the best out of you. And I think that's how I tried to use it.
Yeah, for sure. What are your like current thoughts on this new Miami Dolphins team and like how they're building a new culture?
Yeah, I really like it. I think Coach McDaniel is a good coach. I don't think he's the same as Coach Shula. Everybody has their own style, and as long as it works for him. But it really seems like the players respect him, and everybody buys in. And I can remember a few years ago where, you look at Miami, you get the weather, beautiful city, the ocean, this and that. But it was guys that just didn't really want to, come to Miami as far as free agents. But now, people don't look at it that people are looking to come there and they want to win. And I think he's got us on the right trajectory. So, even last year we just had a bunch of injuries, but if we can stay healthy, I think we're heading in the right direction. So I'm definitely excited.
Yeah, I agree. I like all the signings they made. I like what they're doing, and I think that McDaniels is making a really good culture change from like the Flores way to how he wants it. Going through high school, college, and even through the NFL, what were your like favorite workouts to do that you saw transition to the field?
Man, I'm not gonna say any of my workouts were my favorite because most of the time it's hot, and then you got your strength coach, working you, pushing you, this and that. A lot of times you want to quit and give up, but that's the guy that pushes to maximize your potential and get out. So I had some really great strength coaches in college and in the professional. So I think that was their job. But at the end of the day, you're really appreciative because they help you get prepared to where you can be the best player you can be. And it's not fun when you're going through it, but when you can go out and perform on game day the way that you want to perform and you're not tired, you're not winded, and you can make it through those really long, tough drives, that's when the appreciation comes in. But when you're going through it and it's hot and you're like, man, I could be doing something else right now. I don't keep doing this. Sometimes that was a feeling if I was just being honest, but that's why they play that role. But yeah, I love my strength coaches.
Yeah, for sure. If you had to give like a couple guys, who were the hardest guys that you had to block in your career?
Well, definitely Bruce Smith. I kind of really got indoctrinated my rookie year. Before I made it out of preseason, I played my first game was Richard Dent. Um, I think my second game was I played against Carl Mecklenburg and I'm trying to think of the other guy from Denver. Two real good outside pass rushers. Then we played against Minnesota Vikings. Chris Dolan, rest in peace, but of course he was in the Hall of Fame. And then Simon Fletcher was the other guy from the Broncos. And then I played against the Eagles, and they had, thank goodness, Reggie White was on the other side. But they had Jerome Brown, Pitts, and I played against Clyde Simmons. And so by the time I got out of preseason, I had hit some of the best pass rushers in the game, and then eventually went on to play against, I think, Lawrence Taylor my rookie year. played Derek Thomas. So I played against some of the best, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is that every week it's that guy. It's just because you think it's Bruce Smith, it's over with. It's not. Everybody has one of those type of guys on their team, so that's where the preparation comes in, and you can't say, "Well, I'm gonna be able to take this week off because we got so and so this week, this and that." Every week it's a guy, and he's trying to get to the quarterback and get that big hit or that sack to try to swing the momentum or get a win for their team. So yeah, every week it was a different guy.
Yeah, for sure. Going into your rookie year, you ended up making the Pro Bowl that year. Was there anything in particular that helped you adjust from college to the pros?
I think the biggest thing that really helped me was I did go to minicamp, and then I stayed down in Miami like a month before like training camp, and my offensive line coach really worked with me. And the reason is I came from Texas A&M, and we didn't throw the ball much. We ran the option, this and that. So I really had to work on doing 2-point stance. I had done some in college, but we just didn't throw the football a lot. So with him taking that month-long time during the summer, working on me, getting the pass sets and stuff down, because in Miami, that's what we did. We threw the football sometimes at least 60 times a game. So, and Dan was so great at it. So we had to be able to know how to pass, block, and protect, but that helped. And then also, I think what helped is I missed maybe like a little bit over a week of training camp, got my contract signed, and I got a lot of reps during the preseason, and so that helped get me acclimated working against those guys. So I think those were two key things that really helped get me ready, because once you learn it, you got to learn it, and then once you learn it, it stops the hesitation, because now you got to do is just go out and react and play. And yeah, we got a ton of plays, and they got assigned early, so that was huge.
What did you prefer, run block or pass block?
I think most linemen prefer run blocking. That's what I had did in college, but I think you got to look at the system, and you look at the players, and you maximize on their strengths. And what we did in Miami was we threw the football, and Dan was the best that's ever done it. And I think that's the reason why we threw the football. So I just say, hey, call a play, whatever it is, we got to run it anyway. So they're not going to ask me what I like. They're going to call a play, and we run it. And so, whatever offense I'm in and what's designed to be the best, maximize. Sometimes you get in one that's more, by 50-50, but we threw the football a lot, and you come to terms with it and say, hey, this is what we do, this is who we are, and this is what we got to do. So just go out and execute. So that's the way I looked at it. I see you co-hosting jumped
Were there
in.
any years? Oh yeah, Landon's in here.
Dude, I took me forever to
Landon,
get
we're
service.
no, you should ask. You could ask a couple.
Question what? 67?
We're 10 questions in, so
10. Oh. All right, I'll just grab the first one of mine. All right, so what was the Bills-Dolphins rivalry like for you personally?
Well, we kind of touched on that, but Bills rivalry, that's a division rivalry, and I think it was we played the first game we played my rookie year was in Miami, but the second game we played up there. And back then, everything's changed now, but they used to give you these media guides, and they would give you a little history on the game and this and that. And I started because I couldn't understand why was it so much hate and animosity and this and that. And so I started reading the media guide, and this is before I got there. But in the 70s, the Dolphins beat the Bills like 20 times in a row. And so that definitely made them not like us, and vice versa. So that's kind of how the rivalry started from what I remember. I got there in the 90s, and it was already cooking. They did not like each other. And I remember going up to Buffalo. Sometimes they throw like snowballs at at the bus and stuff like that. But really loud, tough place to play. But yeah, that was one of the toughest rivalries that I've been in, college or pro, was against Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, going to those games, I've been to. I mean, me and Rich went to one last year. No, it's fun
Mm,
going to those games.
I see your shirt. I see you representing. I see your
Yes,
shirt.
sir.
Okay.
All right, I got another. Who would you say, as of right now in like the current league, is the best all-around blocker?
I think the tackle from the 49ers, Trent Williams, he gets it's a lot of guys that really do things really well, but I think you probably hear his name more than often, and I haven't studied it. There's a lot of good young tackles and stuff that's playing now. So that's kind of hard, but if you go by what the media and stuff like that said, Trent Williams is definitely one of the top tackles in the league right now with the 49ers.
yeah, for sure. When it's all said and done, do you think that the Tyreek will have as much like I don't know, be for Clayton, or do you think they're just not gonna have enough time to like develop as much?
Can you repeat it? Because you cut out a little bit. Can you repeat your question? You cut out a little bit.
Oh yeah, is it glitchy?
Just a little bit, yeah.
When it's all said and done, when it's all said and done, what duo do you think will have more like recognition as like the main Miami duo receivers, Waddle and Hill, or the Mark brothers?
I think it depends on your age. I think some of the older people that actually remember, Mark Duper and Mark Clayton, they'll probably lean toward them. But Waddle and Tyreek are doing some outstanding numbers. I like them. I like what they're doing. I think they're probably the top as a combination, the top duo receiving as a combination. So they're putting up some huge numbers and stuff like that. So it just depends on how early you are, and that can start a barbershop conversation where the people that follow the younger ones, they'll say, well, no, this is the greatest, and then vice versa. But the good thing is they play for the Dolphins, so I'd love to hear the conversation and just go back and forth and enjoy it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the Mark brothers, but this speed connection that they have, it's really something. I mean, I love watching them on the field. if there was 3 edge rushers from the current day that you wish you could have blocked the opportunity to do, what 3 would they be?
3 pass rushes?
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with the era. I like the era that I played in. The rules are a little different. Now the game definitely has changed, and I understand part of it is player safety, and they're trying to protect the players and stuff like that. And they make a lot more money, so they want to try to prevent guys from getting hurt. So I understand that point. That part of it, but I like the rules back when I played. So I stick with the guys that I played with versus trying to grab some of these guys and put them back there. I'm sure they could perform just like we could perform in this one, but yeah, I'm gonna just stick with my era.
Do you think your era was harder than the current era?
I think it was a different game. I think the game has changed, evolved. Back then, I think it's more protection for the quarterback and stuff like that. I think it was probably a little bit more physical game. They're really cutting back on some things that was the norm now, and not even in professional sports, but also in college as well. So the game has changed a little bit, but I'd probably say it was more physical back then than it is now.
Yeah, so kind of like what he just asked. How did the league like change through your entire career?
From what I remember, uh, they used to have like bump and run. So like you could cornerbacks used to could run jam a receiver and run him out of bounds. And once you got out of bounds, that would take him out the route. And then it came up with a rule where after 5 yards, you couldn't just jam him anymore. So I remember that was one of the biggest rules that they changed when I was playing to kind of give receivers a chance. And then, because going across the middle and stuff like that, whether you caught the ball or not, the safeties or whatever could just unload on a receiver. So you had to be really tough to be able to, go across the middle and stuff like that. But they've changed all that now.
Yeah. What was your favorite level of the game? High school, college, or the NFL?
It's plus and minuses in all of them. I think what I like in college is the tailgating, and they tailgate in the professional and stuff like that. But you got the band. It's different in a college game. But I think I like that part. But as far as playing, it doesn't get any better than the NFL. That's the toughest. You're definitely on the highest level. It doesn't get any higher than that. So, and you can tell if you played at all three levels that's the toughest level to play at. And if you can play at that one, you can play at any of them. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. How do you feel about the Miami Dolphins Super Bowl chances this year?
I think I feel good. I felt good last year. I think the thing that really hurt, like I said, we had some really key injuries in the interior part of the line, kind of right before midseason, and then toward the end of the season, we lost all three of our outside linebackers. It was key injuries. Xavier Howard was beat up a little bit, and so you got to be really healthy toward the end of the year because that's when you want to hit your stride, your rhythm, to not only finish the season but to be able to push through the playoffs. And we kind of limped into there, but I feel good. The main thing with any team is being healthy at the right time and not losing too many of your key players.
Yeah, for sure.
So you guys might have answered this before I got here. I don't know, but who was in your entire career, high school, college, NFL, who was your favorite teammate you ever played with?
I would probably say me and Keith Sims, we got drafted and we played side by side for 8 years in the pros. I think the relationship is different. And I think in college, I was only there 5 years. So I had a bunch of teammates, but Keith is high school or anything, that guy played with him the longest other than anybody else. So probably Keith Sims, if I had to say.
Being picked top 10, what was the draft process like for you?
Back when I came out, it was I was at home at my home in Dallas with my family, my parents, my brothers and sisters, and back then, now they moved the draft around to different cities. It's like going to the Oscars or something, red carpet, you name it. They do an outstanding job with that. But a few guys get invited to, back then, a few guys got invited to New York or whatever. And I wanted to be at home. I could have went to New York, but I stayed at home. And the biggest deal was it always started on Sunday. I think it starts on Thursday now. Back when I played, it was 12 rounds. They've cut it down to 7 now. I think it was 2 days. Still 2 days of the draft, but it's just a lot more fan involvement now than it was back then. But totally different thing. I think the NFL knocked it out the park as a way they've created this environment like it's actually a award ceremony, this and that, and the fan involvement, they get into it, and it's a 2 or 3 days. People don't come in the city, this and that, and they have the little sections for each team, whether you're Chargers or Bills or Dolphins or Steelers. And when your team selects a player, you root for that, and then you go out and you get to shake hands with your fans, stuff like this. So they do a great job with the NFL experience with the draft.
As a Dolphins fan, I hate seeing the Dolphins face certain teams, but were there any teams that you just didn't like facing?
I don't think it was that. I just think that your rivalry games, it didn't take as much to get hyped up for that. So when I played AFC, it was the Jets, it was the Bills, it was New England, and also back then it was Indianapolis. So they've restructured that where it used to be 6 divisions, now it's 8. But it was 5 teams, and anytime you played anybody in your division, it was that grudge match, this and that. And I think it's the same way kind of now it's just they divided them up a little bit more.
So I was just wondering, it was the last question I got. But what was it like after you left Miami for Cincinnati? What was it like having a fresh start in a new city?
Yeah, the good thing, Landon. I went to Cincinnati, and they welcomed me with open arms and great fan base, and it was good, especially being an older player because you're walking into a situation where it's an unknown, so you don't know if they're going to be happy, sad, or whatever. And I think the thing was the way I had played in Miami, a lot of the players had respect for me. So when I got there, they were happy that I actually came and joined them, and vice versa. But the 2 years I was there, I had a really good experience, and the people were friendly, die hard fans. Cincinnati's kind of one of those cold, blue collar towns or whatever, and they ride with their teams, and I can respect that because when I got there, they hadn't won in like 10 years. So to see the fans still support their team like they did, that was huge for me. So yeah, I appreciate them welcome me in and to I think it's the Who Dat Nation or whatever. So yeah, the Bengals. So
Who Dey?
Who Dey, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What were the main differences between Jimmy Johnson and Don Shula?
Oh, I think both of them were tough coaches. I think the biggest difference, well, I got drafted for Coach Shula, but both of them had knowledge of the game. They were going to push you pretty hard, this and that, and they both wanted to win. Jimmy had won 2 Super Bowls in Dallas, and Coach Shula had already won a couple Super Bowls before I got there, and I think they went to one and lost to the Niners. So a lot of similarities, not exactly the same, but a very competitive coaches. So I could see that in both of them. Mm-hmm.
Going into the draft, did you know you were going to the Dolphins, or was it like a complete surprise?
I did not know. I had some type of idea. At one point, they was thinking I was going to go maybe to the Chargers at 5, but I got a call from the Dolphins the day of that morning of the draft. I got a call from New Orleans and who's the other team? Maybe Kansas City. And all of them said, if you're there, we're going to take you. But if not, we understand. But the Dolphins was the first team that came up and they took me. So I think you hear that a lot of times, but sometimes something crazy can happen in the draft and throw the kind of order off and this and that. But yeah, the Dolphins did call me and they said, well, if you're going to be available, if you're there, we're going to take you. So I was happy they stuck to their word. So it was good to go to Miami.
Yeah, this is my last question too, and I really appreciate you having the time to come and talk to us. Out of all the games you played in your career, can you name one that was like your favorite game or like the one that meant the most to you?
I think the one that probably sticks out is I think we played in Philadelphia, and that was the game I was able to be part of when Coach Shula became the winningest coach. And he broke the record there in Philadelphia. And I think the ironic thing was about it, we had a backup quarterback, Doug Peterson, which was he's a head coach at Jacksonville now. So he was a quarterback at that time. I think Marino was hurt or something, but he was the guy that finished up the game, and we won that game, and that's what sticks out. So being part of Coach Shula becoming the winningest coach in the NFL, I think that was monumental. So I was glad I was there at that time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time to come
thank
with
you
us.
for coming on.
Hey, Richie.
Yeah. I want to thank you two gentlemen. I appreciate it. And it's good when you see young minds supporting the game and loving it and this and that. And then, like you say, for you to like he's a Bills fan and you're a Dolphins fan, but y'all come together and do a podcast. I think that's pretty cool. As long as you have respect for each other, you root for who you want to, but at the end of the day, have respect and being able to listen to each other's, differences and this and that, and being able to do it in a respectful way. I commend you, young man. So keep going, and I look forward to y'all show growing and becoming one of the most popular shows out there. So keep working hard.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. So, Turf Talk, this is Richard Donahue and
Landon
Landon
Kostusiak.
Kostusiak.
Okay.
Signing out. Peace.